Hey again, guys. I hope you've been practicing over the past 2 weeks that I've been sick, and that's plenty of time, so your lines should be better at this point. And I just hope you've been working on it because now you're going to need to use good lines and solid shapes so you can draw objects. So today we're going to be drawing toys. And here we have Mystery Door, which, it's a surprise you don't see what the toy is. But if you look at the door, you can see there's certain areas that have the thicker lines, and that kind of gives you the impression that that area is depressed into the door, and that the question mark and the exclamation part are coming out of that depression, the door. Uh, didn't do quite as good a job on the doorknob there, but it was just a circle anyway. So this is an illustration of the type of thing that you're going for, so that you can show with just line depth and weight. So anyway, without further ado, our toy. We've got Buzz Cut Pony over here, and she is looking forward to you drawing her. Let's get focused. Okay. This one, the people who are kind of beginners, stick with this object. And remember, you're not drawing a pony. You're drawing a toy. You have to capture it as a solid object. This is a hardish plastic toy. Don't draw in eyes. Don't try to make it cutesy. Don't alter it. Draw exactly what is here. Measure and make sure that you get the right angles. And like this would be parallel to that, so they should line up at that angle. Make sure you get, the right angle for the sides of the head, for the legs. Overall, just kind of overall do it. Construct it a little. You can construct it very lightly. Like, the legs are just cylinders. A cylinder up, a cylinder forward, a cylinder up, a cylinder back. The body is a cylinder. Just draw exactly what's there. Don't worry about trying to make it pretty. You don't necessarily have to present this as though it's a masterpiece to anybody, and besides, you and me, we're the only ones who are really looking at it anyway. So, here is our rough light source is coming from above and to the right. So it's actually shining right on her bare little ass because I cut her tail off. All right, so we can see this side is light and the left side's in shadow. So the line here of the head going around, we want to draw that as a thicker line than on this side. Then we can see that we've got a little bit of a shadow right here where the, I guess that's the brow. That's going to be thicker than this eyelid, which is very light. And the bottom of the eye is actually a lot thicker than the eyelid because the bottom of the eye is depressed in more and further away, pointing more away from the light source. So it's not necessarily that it's further from the light, it's because it's pointing more away from the light, which you're going to get used to seeing that because we're going to go back to the straight shapes and do toning, which that'll help you remember what's pointing away from the light and what's pointing towards the light. So you can see we've got shadows here, but we're not going to be drawing the shadows. We're just going to indicate them by drawing a nice heavy line at the foot. Here you'd have that same heavy line, but because the light is behind it, this line has to taper off, so it starts thick and it gets thin. You can actually see it here already. Starts nice and thick, and then it gets nice and thin as it goes around, and then this line in the back is the thinnest one back here. In fact, it's the thinnest going to be this line right here at the foot, and this curve of her back and her butt to the leg. They're going to be the thinnest lines in your entire image, because not only are they getting the most light, but they are furthest away from you. Whereas the lines in the front are going to be a little bit heavier. You want this line that's overlapping that leg to be a little heavier than the lines on this leg, period, because this leg is in front of this leg. Usually, a lot of people, for things like this, you might block it in very lightly in pencil, but you would go in with microns and do this because you want that precision of line, and the microns come in different sizes, so you don't have to actually do the double line. You just use a bigger, thicker micron. And micron pens, if I had one over here, I should have. I can show you. But we'll do that later because I don't see them. Alright. So, some tips, like I said, this one's in front. This down here would be the heaviest out of all of them. Right here, where this is overlapping, so you want to show that overlap where the chest is coming up by making the line not thicker than like anything over here, but putting the line in and letting it taper off as it comes around. This is called line quality. You want to have a variety of line qualities. And so if you hear that term, it doesn't mean how good your lines are or how pretty they are, the quality of the line. The quality of the line is the variation from thick to thin to describe weight, distance, and distance from the light. So the relationship with the light, the relationship with the parts, and weight. So for weight, actually the bottoms of the feet are going to be the darkest lines through, relatively throughout, because it's going to taper a little bit as it goes up into the lighted area. And then on this side, this entire side would stay thicker than this entire side, but this would still taper a little bit as it goes up, because thicker lines at the bottom make things have more weight. So what you're going to do is, after you've watched the video, you can go back and pause it, draw this. Just construct it a little bit, use some cylinders very, very lightly, or if you have a light blue color pencil, you could do it in a light blue color pencil, and then go over it with the black color pencil. No Sharpies this time, you don't have to, but just remember, no mechanical pencils, and if you're going to use graphite, use a harder lead for the first thing where you're constructing, and then use a very, very dark lead. And I'm talking about, I want to see like 9B or something. You want to make sure you can get it nice and dark so it comes up in the pictures. We're also going to talk about studies. Certain things about this you're going to want to do the studies, like draw just the ear and try to capture the fact that that's cupped inside and that's depressing in. If you wanted to make sure you understood the shape of the head, the 3D shape of the head, you would make your start with a square and kind of start with kind of a flattened top pyramid, because you've got a square in the back and then they taper this way, which, if you have a square and it comes up to a point, that's a pyramid, and then you kind of cut off the top of the pyramid, and that's where you would get the shape of the head. So you have to, and it takes a long time to actually get anything out of studies, because you have to do the logic and make the connections. You're gonna just look at it and it's kind of like a puzzle, and it starts to fall into place. And take the notes though, because you're gonna refer back to your notes. The reason why doing studies and drawing from life is so much more valuable than using photo reference, one of them is because you will sit down and you will spend 4 hours that you could have been doing the drawing, scouring the net for photo reference. By the time you're done, you're tired, and you don't really even feel like doing the drawing anymore. Or if you do it, you kind of slap together and you wasted your time. Whereas what you could have done to even at least just be drawing, yeah, you have your reference, but if you have been doing all of these studies for all of this time, you go to your sketchbook and all your reference is already there. You've already collected it because you've already done the sketches. And then you've actually put that information from the thing you're sketching in your mind. It might be vague and you might not remember it as well as it would be, but that's why you have your sketch notes to go back to. So yeah, do a study uh, of the form. So, you know, like I said, try at least the head, which is a pyramid with the tip cut off. Construct your cylinders, and then that is your 3D shape study. And then you can get another sheet of paper and draw it out and pay attention and work with the line quality. Pay very close attention to the line quality. If you don't understand, watch the video again. If you know, pay really close attention to the stuff that's going on, not just what I'm saying. The entire time I'm talking, you shouldn't just be listening. Your eyes should be on the object. You should be analyzing the object. Yes, you gotta kind of listen, but anytime I'm pointing something out, if you don't see it, then you need to go back a few seconds, listen again, see what I'm pointing, and make sure you understand. Because if you don't, you're not gonna remember it. You're kind of wasting your time. And it's better to go back and keep going back and going back and moving back when you're in an informational stage than it is to keep going back and going back and going back when you're supposed to be drawing. So, you know. So, but yeah, here's your guy. So pause video, get to work.